Alright guys, welcome to Flavo Rihanna's MMA show. I'm your host, Flavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Man, this was the final UFC card until we reach the pinnacle, which is UFC 300. The UFC 300 is going to be the granddaddy of them all. It's going to be the best UFC card that the UFC has put out there. And guys, I'm not 100% certain. There's a possibility that I will be putting out kind of like what am I going to be betting on the channel. Maybe if it's on a post or if I make a video, it's not 100% certain. I'm actually now studying tape on all fights for next week. But unfortunately, we're going to be talking about, well, it's not really unfortunately, but we're going to be talking about UFC Vegas 90. All right, and it was headlined by Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. The rematch that we all wanted. Well, not really, but I mean, it was a really good fight, though. Brendan Allen was originally supposed to fight Martin Vettori, but Martin Vettori pulled out. I think he had some type of injury. In comes Chris Curtis, which this is kind of his calling card. And the reason why I say it's kind of his calling card is because he always stays ready. I mean, he's 36, 37 years old. And at his age, I mean, I would be very selective on the fights that I'd be taking. But the fact that Brendan Allen, I believe he was ranked number 6, if I'm not mistaken, in the middleweight division, and Curtis is like ranked number 11 or 12, or maybe even higher. I'm not 100% sure on Curtis. This is a good opportunity for him to try to bump up, because if he comes in and defeats Brendan Allen, then he catapults himself inside that top 7 area, and then with maybe 1 or 2 more wins, maybe he can see himself in the title opportunity. So I felt like this was good game planning for Eric Nixon and the whole crew that's the camp of Chris Curtis. And Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis have both fought before. Chris Curtis got a TKO victory over Brendan Allen, and I believe that was, I have it over here, that was his last loss. That was his last loss in 2021. It says December 4th, 2021. Lost by, punch in the knees, TKO in round 2. And in that fight, Brendan Allen was winning the fight on the feet. And Curtis ended up, just piecing him up against the cage, throwing a combination, throwing a knee, and good night, Irene. That's what it was for Brendan Allen. But Brendan Allen ended up coming into this fight, round 1, Brendan Allen type of a fight. Takedowns, a lot of control. Was fighting a little bit on the feet, and he was getting the better of it. Allen, more of a BJJ type of fighter. Chris Curtis, is using more of a boxing type of approach, and Curtis just started a little bit slow. Rounds 2, 3, and 4 gave it to Chris Curtis. Even though you saw Brendan Allen using the takedowns and utilizing them to try to get a submission. No damage was taken by Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis was able to nullify any type of submissions. He was able to get up. He was beating up on Brendan Allen on the body, beating Brendan Allen on the feet. A couple of times he had him hurt. And Brendan Allen ended up throwing his fair share of shots on, when they were both exchanging with one another. And I felt that it was, round 2 was solidified. Round 4 was solidified for Chris Curtis. Round 3, I gave him more to Chris Curtis because I felt like he ended up inflicting more damage as opposed to Brendan Allen. Especially in round 4. Round 4, you saw Brendan Allen really try to use some takedowns. Curtis was really trying to stuff him. Even if he got taken down, which he has a great takedown defense accuracy. I know it dropped a little bit because of the amount of times he got taken down. Even the fact that he was, taken down, he was able to avoid any type of submissions. He told his corner to shut the F up because he wasn't going to get submitted, and he never got submitted. The fight ended up going to decision. Round 5, I felt like Chris Curtis was winning about 2.5 minutes to maybe 2 minutes and 45 seconds of the fight. There was a weird type of grappling exchange as Curtis was trying to push off. And in the process of him pushing off and standing up, it looked like he ended up popping or tearing his hamstring. Curtis immediately knew it. He was backpedaling to the cage. Allen ended up, taking advantage of the situation, throwing a knee, throwing a combination. And honestly, in my opinion, I felt like that was the moment that Allen ended up stealing that fight, because I felt like it was at best it was 2-2. I had it 3 rounds to 1 going into round 4. You can have an argument about round 3 in my opinion, but I felt that Brendan Allen ended up squeezing through with that. There was one judge that gave it a 49-46 to Brendan Allen. I don't know what that judge was smoking. All right. It should have been either 48-47 Brendan Allen, 48-47 Chris Curtis. You can say a 49-46 for Chris Curtis, but that's really pushing it right there. I would say 48-47 Chris Curtis. Even though I had a ticket for Chris Curtis, and maybe it sounds biased, I just felt that Chris Curtis was winning the middle parts of the fight for rounds 2 to 4. I felt like Brendan Allen ended up winning the corner parts of the fight, which was rounds 1 and 5. So, look, is it a robbery? I mean, it depends on who you talk to. I'm not gonna really say it's so much of a robbery. Close fights really don't mean that they're robberies, but there were some people that's on Twitter, many people on Twitter were saying that Chris Curtis should have won, and I agree with those people. But I wouldn't go over saying it's a robbery. Now, there was a couple fighters that were in attendance at the illustrious, world famous Apex Center, and they ended up saying that this was fight of the year. Obviously, those people were Jamal Hill and Bilal Muhammad, who are really close friends with Brendan Allen. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it was fight of the year. Should have won fight of the night. I believe so, but the fact that the UFC doesn't even feel like it was fight of the night should tell you that was not a fight of the year. It was one of the best fights so far of the year, but to me it wasn't fight of the year type of material. Especially when we're gonna have next week Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title, and that's most likely going to cement fight of the year. We also had Ignacio Bahamondes knocking out Christos Yago. I made a mistake. I thought this fight would drag on to the later part of the round. So I thought, Yago was in a muscle through. But Bahamondes is really sharp with that kick. We've seen him knock out a couple of people with that. We've seen him knock out Roosevelt Roberts. He ended up knocking out Christos Yagos. Bahamondes, I believe, I know he has like a loss or two in the promotion. He's 15-5. He improved to 15-5. He has 2 losses in the promotions, right? His 2 losses are John McDessie and Ludovic Klein. I thought this fight was going to go more of like the Trey Ogden type of a fight, where he ended up winning a decision. But he wheel kicks Roosevelt Roberts, front kicks Edson Gomez in the Contender Series. Has a nasty front choke that he ended up getting against Rongzu, and loses the decisions to Ludovic Klein, loses the decisions to John McDessie. So he's 4-2 in the promotion. I think this kid has a lot of potential. I think this kid might be able to be as high as maybe a ranked number 7 in his lightweight division. I know lightweight is full of sharks right there, full of good contenders. I think he has the height. I think he has the distance and range. I think he's very young, where he's going to be able to grow as a fighter. But I believe that Ignacio Bahamondes is going to get as far as that. I don't think he's going to be a title challenger or a champion. I think that he's going to be as high as, in my opinion, ranked number 7, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just that lightweight is the deepest division in the sport. We also ended up having, Chepe Marisco versus Morgan Chartier. Good fight. Chepe ended up winning. Chepe is 3-0. Morgan Chartier is 1-1 with the promotion. I really didn't like this fight so much being on the Apex. Felt like this fight should have been in front of a crowd. Fortunately, the UFC is stacking, these pay-per-views, which 298, 299, 300. I know 301 is going to be a dud on paper. I feel like viewing-wise, I think it's going to be actually a pretty good card. I don't know, rumors are 302 is going to be Islam versus Dustin, which is not confirmed. I know that it's rumors that McGregor Chandler is going to be 303 International Fight Week. So it's a lot of stuff that's going down. Damon Jackson, Alexander Hernandez. Honestly, look, it was for Alexander Hernandez to win. Damon Jackson ended up muscling through on a split decision. I think Damon Jackson's on the downward spiral of his career. Alexander Hernandez should have been able to win this fight. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to get a win in featherweight. And this was kind of a layup that the UFC kind of tossed him. Now, I don't know where they go. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut Alexander Hernandez. Alexander Hernandez is now 6-7 in the promotion. In his last 5 fights, he is 1-4. With losses to Damon Jackson, Bill Algeo, defeated Jim Miller at 155 pounds. Losses to Billy Quarantillo and Hanato Moicano. I know Hanato Moicano is a really good fighter, but outside of the other losses, I mean, they are mid to low tier type of fighters that are on the downward spiral of their career. Alexander Hernandez is somebody that I once thought that can actually, climb up the rankings, but he has been facing, a brutal level of competition ever since he got into the UFC. He ended up knocking out Benio Dariush, and I feel like ever since then, that is the only victory on his resume that has actually helped him out. Because beats Benio Dariush, beats Olivier Aubin Mercier, loses to Donald Cerrone on the first ESPN card. It was at the Barclays Center. And that's when Alexander Hernandez thought that he was, top shit. He was going to get matched up with Islam Makhachev, which that would have ended terribly. Loses to Drew Dober, gets knocked out in round 2. Defeats Chris Gritzmarker, who's no longer with the promotion. Loses to Thiago Moises, who's really, really good. Good top-level lightweight contender. Defeats Mike Breeden, who is okay, but is very inactive. And then Moicano loses. So he's losing to really good competition, but at the same aspect, now that he's losing to mid-tier, low competition in featherweight, honestly, the only fight that makes it reasonable is him versus Herbert Burns. Loser leaves town. I mean, you cannot be in the UFC with 7 losses and 6 wins. I mean, one more loss, I wouldn't be surprised if they kick him out of the UFC and he has to fight elsewhere. And maybe he might need that because he's facing brutal competition. Charlie Campbell versus Trevor Peek, very good fight. Honestly, it was like a bar level fight. If there's a fight that I would tell people to watch outside of the main event, it's probably that one. That one was a very good fight. This type of fights that I kind of like. We had the return to GDR versus Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont, it's crazy that she's on this stretch of a run. I felt like GDR wasn't going to be able to win this type of fight because of the fact that she's only lost to, I think her last loss was, Amanda Nunes, if I'm not mistaken. Because she ended up submitting Juliana Pena, goes missing for about 2-3 years, becomes a mom. And then outside of that loss of Amanda Nunes, we're looking back at Julia Budd, who I think she's... I think what's it called? She's in the PFL. Yeah, she's in the PFL. And that last loss to Julia Budd was 2011. So outside of Amanda Nunes, and Norma Dumont was able to take advantage and beat up on a very old GDR, but GDR still looked pretty decent. So I would like to see her fight one more time. I know she wants to, be very I know she wants to keep on fighting under the UFC umbrella. Very interested to see where they could go. They have plenty of options where they could go. Holly Holm rematch. You could do Misha Tate, the whole 9. There's going to be tons of stuff that they could do with GDR. But guys, UFC Vegas 90. Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. Was this a fight of the year? To me, it was not. I don't really think that this is going to be a fight that people would rewatch. But Brendan Allen really improved. I really like to see what he can do elsewhere. I know he called out Drickus, bad call out. I think he should have called out Jared Cannonier. Really do believe that he had a shot for the Strickland fight, but I feel like he's gonna end up getting Jared Cannonier. The man has been growing and improving on every single fight that he's been out there. I think Brendan Allen has the ability to fight for a title, but he's gonna take that Bilal Muhammad route because he has the skill but doesn't have the backing. Unfortunately, he might have to go on a 9-fight, 10-fight win streak to even get recognized to fighting for that belt. But until then, guys, I'm Flavio Oriana. Thank you for tuning in. And next week is UFC 300, and I will see you guys for the reaction of that. Till then, see ya. Peace.